Welcome back. Welcome to the Premier Mindset by Premier Performance LLC. I'm your host, Trent Mailer, LCSW, clinical therapist and performance coach, and this is episode 31. Most people think success comes from grinding harder or being the smartest in the room, but that's not the full picture. The truth is, so much of success depends on how you show up with other people. Do you communicate clearly? Do you set boundaries without burning bridges? Do you actually get your needs met while respecting others? Interpersonal effectiveness shows up everywhere, whether it's leading a team, negotiating a deal, asking for help, or handling conflict in a relationship. If you avoid tough conversations or let emotions take over, you lose influence. The people who thrive are the ones who know how to navigate relationships with both clarity and respect. Today, we're breaking down how to strengthen your interpersonal effectiveness skills, how to communicate in a way that actually works, and how to build stronger connections that move you towards your goals instead of holding you back. Quick note before we dive in, this podcast is for education and performance growth. It's not a replacement for therapy or medical treatment. So if there are things you need, make sure you go get them. This goal is to expand awareness, get this in front of more people so they understand more things about themselves, but it is not supposed to be a replacement for these things. If you need it, go get it. It's going to help you. You can watch full episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and the audio-only version on Apple Podcasts as well. I'll also be sharing clips across Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and X. Hit subscribe or follow if you want to catch every drop of new content. All the links are in the show notes. We have things coming out every day with new podcast episodes coming out every week. If you ever felt like relationships, whether at work or at home, is your kryptonite, this episode is for you. So let's get started. What is interpersonal effectiveness? Interpersonal effectiveness is the ability to get your wants and needs met in relationships while also maintaining your self-respect and building healthy connections with others. It involves balancing your priorities with those of others and being able to say no when appropriate. Key components include clear communication, active listening, empathy, and conflict resolution, all rooted in emotional intelligence to understand both your own feelings and the needs of others. DBT is a great place for this stuff. One of the modules in DBT is interpersonal effectiveness, so we're going to hit on DBT a lot throughout the episode. And the reason for that is DBT tools can help to provide practical frameworks for asking for what you need, maintaining relationships, and holding self-respect. And we'll talk about a couple of those skills as we get into it. Balancing objectives versus relationships versus self-respect. Choosing which to prioritize in high-stakes environments or interactions. It can be really tough to decide between those three. Taking care of you, taking care of your relationships, or taking care of things that you're trying to get done. In high-stakes interactions, prioritizing objectives, relationships, and self-respect requires a clear-eyed assessment of the situation and a strong sense of your core values. The right balance is not fixed, but depends on the specific context, including the importance of the outcome, the significance of the relationship, and the stakes for your integrity. There are some key principles you can consider for prioritization. Mental frameworks such as those derived from DBT offer a structured approach for prioritizing those goals in difficult situations because it might all be important, but sometimes we got to figure out which is most important to get to work on now because we may not have time to get to all of them in every interaction. We want to define and rank our goals. Before an interaction, identify what you want to achieve for your objective, the relationship, and your self-respect. Objective effectiveness. What specific results or tangible outcomes do you want? So when you're thinking of that objective side, what are you looking to gain? What do you want to come from this? Relationship effectiveness. How do you want the other person to feel about you afterwards? How important is it to maintain or improve this relationship? Does that relationship you're considering or thinking about actually even matter to you? Is it a random coworker you have met twice in your entire life? Or is this somebody you work with on a daily basis? That does matter, and that is going to impact how we take care of it. And we also want to be aware of how we want other people looking at us. And we've got to be careful of taking on certain tendencies like people-pleasing tendencies of wanting everyone to like us, that kind of stuff, because that might get in our way sometimes with relationships. But we just want to reflect on that and see what we're looking for in that. In regards to the self-respect side, how do you want to feel about yourself afterwards? What actions align with your values and uphold your integrity? So what do you need coming out of this feeling like you didn't sacrifice something for yourself or from yourself? We want to prioritize based on context. Consciously decide which goal is most important in the moment. A casual request to a friend is different from a critical negotiation with a long-term business partner. So we're going to use different things at different times. Context does matter. Prioritize the objective. You may focus on the outcome when the interaction is with a stranger or when achieving a specific result is your top priority. For example, when you want a mechanic to fix your car, your self-respect and relationship with them are less important than the objective, which is to fix the car. Prioritizing the relationship. You might prioritize the relationship when it's a long-term and valuable. For instance, if a close friend repeatedly cancels plans, you may prioritize the friendship over getting your way, though a conversation may still be needed. Prioritizing self-respect. Your self-respect must be a priority when deciding when a decision or action would violate your core values, even if it harms the relationship or means not getting what you want. For example, if a client demands you to do something unethical to close a deal, protecting your integrity is paramount and huge in terms of your own reputation and your business objectives moving down the line. Strategies for managing competing priorities, because sometimes we have multiple priorities that are fighting with each other and we have to decide to try and take care of both or which one we need to do first. We want to try to avoid sacrificing one goal for another by default. Be mindful of your tendencies. Those who consistently prioritize relationships may experience resentment and lose self-respect over time. Conversely, those who are overly focused on their objectives may damage important relationships. So be aware of your tendencies and what you're doing on a regular basis. You might catch yourself doing things that you actually don't want to do, and that might lead you doing things in a reactionary way instead of mindfully thinking about it and making a conscious decision that's going to be best for you in your situation. Communicate with integrity. Being truthful and standing by your values builds self-respect. If you must say no, do so respectfully and without over-apologizing, which diminishes your sense of competence. It's okay to say no. It's okay to hold boundaries. It's okay to say things that might hurt sometimes. Sometimes we do need to be truthful. So we want to communicate in a way that aligns with who we want to be as a person. It connects back to our values again. Use your wise mind. This is a concept from DBT. The wise mind is a state of balanced reasoning that combines the emotional with the rational, because we need both to make the best decisions for us. It helps you consider all three priorities, the objective, the relationship, and self-respect, instead of reacting purely from emotion or logic. Because if we lean on either of those sides, you're going to miss on things and you're not going to get certain things taken care of that you might need. We can also seek an outside perspective. For complex dilemmas, consulting an unbiased third party, such as a trusted mentor or advisor, or even therapist, can provide clarity and help you make a more objective decision. This is the power of working through things with other people. Sitting in a vacuum by ourselves and trying to focus on it entirely on our own. While I understand the appeal of it, it doesn't really work out in a long-term way that is helpful for us in the goals that we're trying to accomplish. I know it's tough opening up to other people. I know it's tough talking about struggles with other people, but it's going to help you and you're going to learn a lot of great things that's going to help you keep moving forward. And you're also going to be able to help other people later down the line as well. Prepare for trade-offs. In high-stakes situations, it is often impossible to achieve all three goals perfectly. Acknowledge that a trade-off is necessary and accept that a compromise or even an undesirable outcome is sometimes inevitable. Saying no without guilt. Boundary setting while persevering relationships. To set boundaries without guilt, be direct and concise when saying no. Express appreciation for the request and avoid over-explaining or apologizing excessively, which is a struggle a lot of people have. I mean, even think back to yourself. How many times have you apologized for things that you probably did not need to? Like asking a question or accidentally making a mistake that no one really even noticed or anything else, or even just like crying. I have people that cry in session all the time. They apologize to me for it. We do not need to apologize for things constantly, and sometimes we get caught up in that pattern or habit of just doing it. So shift your mindset to view the boundaries as acts of self-care and self-respect rather than a negative action. Remember that you are not responsible for other people's emotional reactions to your limits. Start by practicing with small requests to build confidence in your ability to decline and focus on the long-term benefits of healthier relationships and improved well-being. It might be tough in that moment to say no. It might be hard to hold that boundary. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it usually leads to better things down the line. The giving in to things is usually a short-term relief. that we feel like someone's happy with, us doing what we need to do for them or whatever it might be. Where in reality, if we hold the lines we need to hold, while people may have not so great reactions at times, down the line, in the long term, it's going to lead to a life that feels a whole lot better for you. And this comes back with the idea of saying no in general. Sometimes we have to raise the intensity of that no. There are times we have to say things in more severe or intense ways, and that's because we have to make this point come across and have people hear us. If it's like a dangerous situation or a situation that really matters to you, you might have to raise that intensity of how you say no versus a request to like clean the kitchen when you really don't care. And it's like, yeah, fine, I'll do it, not a big deal. Or maybe it's like, I don't really want to do it, but I will if you want me to. That intensity is not very high. But if it's like a dangerous circumstance or situation, we might have to raise that intensity to almost a 10 out of 10 and really make it clear that this is a no and you got to get away from me or stop doing whatever you're doing. So we got to consider that spectrum with no, that there are a lot of different ways to say it and to do it. And certain situations and context is going to cause us to raise that intensity and do it at a higher level. Now, checking in on types of communication, we have assertiveness, aggression, and passivity. Finding the middle path is best for influence. Assertiveness is the healthy middle path between the ineffective extremes of passivity and aggression, enabling you to influence others effectively and build respectful relationships, while passivity allows others to disregard your needs and aggression violates their rights. Assertiveness creates a foundation of mutual respect. So we want to be assertive, we don't want to be aggressive, but we also don't want to be passive either. We want to find that middle ground of assertiveness or confidence or being willing to stand our ground in helpful, respectful ways. Validation skills are very important with relationships too. Validating others' feelings isn't necessarily agreeing with them, and it can really improve and increase the relationship dynamic. To validate someone's feelings without agreeing with their perspective, you should practice active listening by making eye contact, nodding and giving verbal cues like I see. Acknowledge their emotions by saying phrases such as, it makes sense you'd feel upset, or that must be really difficult, to show you understand their emotional experience. This doesn't say that you're understanding exactly what you're going through, but more so like, I get it. And sometimes that's all we need when we're in struggle is just to be told like, hey, I understand, it makes sense. Sometimes that's all we want when we're just having a tough time. Avoid judgmental language or offering solutions. Sometimes that's not what people want. You can always ask if you're not sure, do you want a solution here? Do you want to try and problem solve this? Or do you want to just vent and kind of support each other? Because we could do either, but sometimes we jump straight to offering solutions or trying to solve things, especially if that's related in any way to what we do for a living or what we're doing on a daily basis, or even what we did on that day. So make sure to ask and see where that's at. Avoid that judgmental language, like we said, as validation is about creating a safe space for their emotions to exist without that fear of rejection. So we want to give them room to just feel what they're feeling and let them feel like it's totally okay and they can just feel that thing. Does not mean they're going to get whatever they want. Does not mean that their perspective is just right and that they're going to, win whatever situation they're in, but that the feeling they're feeling is okay and it makes sense, and we want to make space for them to feel that. And sometimes we need someone else to sit with us when we're feeling things. We also want to work on recognizing when we're in emotion mind versus wise mind in conversations, because like we talked about earlier, being in wise mind is going to lead to better results. So to recognize whether you're in emotion mind or wise mind during a conversation, you want to identify if you're being ruled by intense impulsive feelings, or if your feelings and thoughts are balanced with facts and intuition to guide a thoughtful, integrated response, more wise mind. You can access wise mind by practicing mindfulness, which is again why we talk so much about mindfulness and mindfulness tools, because it's very helpful, such as focusing on breathing, observing thoughts non-judgmentally, to create space for inner wisdom to emerge. And some of this is also getting to know ourselves, understanding when we are in that emotional mindset. As I've done more of this work myself with clients, I have gotten to know myself better, and when I'm getting to a point of burnout or just emotional reactivity where it's like I got to go take care of me, or I got to go take a break from clients for a little bit to let myself reset. Because we have to know where our own limits are. We're all just human beings. We all have certain capabilities, and we can only do so much. We only have a certain amount of capacity. So don't be afraid to recognize where you're at and to reflect on yourself and who you are and what you might need, because the more you're paying attention, the more you're going to see that difference between emotion mind and wise mind. Interpersonal effectiveness is the hidden driver of leadership success. Technical skills alone don't get you promoted. Interpersonal effectiveness is the hidden driver of that success because it determines how well a professional leverages their technical skills within a team and an organization. While technical experience or expertise may secure an entry level position, advancement into leadership roles depends on managers' abilities to build relationships, motivate teams, and navigate conflict, all of which are soft skills that technical training does not teach. Technical trainings alone are not enough for leadership. There's a difference between leading and doing. Promotions are often based on an employee's proficiency in their individual contributing role. However, the skills that make a great individual contributor are fundamentally different from those that are needed in a leadership position. The shift from doing to leading is a tough one, but one we need to do. An excellent software developer or engineer may be an expert at coding, but this doesn't guarantee they will be good at delegating, coaching, or inspiring others. Those are more of those soft skills that come in with being a leader. And sometimes we get that confused of just thinking, I'm good at what I do, I should just climb the ladder and keep going. And to a certain extent, yes, that's true. But once we start working with other people, now there's other skills and abilities that we need to have to be successful in that role. And we have seen lots of people that are very good technically at what they do, but they're not very good at running teams or leading other people or even showing other people how to do it themselves. There's a need for collective effort. Companies don't succeed through a single person's effort. Leaders must facilitate collective success by creating a collaborative environment which relies heavily on people skills. It's also a different kind of problem solving. Technical skills solve problems between humans and technology. Interpersonal skills, on the other hand, solve problems between humans. The complexity of human dynamics requires a different, more nuanced skill set, and it can be very difficult. Trust me, I have learned that through doing family sessions and couple sessions, that you can do things best you can, but it can just be hard. So get that practice and learn how to do those things. In essence, interpersonal effectiveness drives promotion. Interpersonal skills, often referred to as human skills, are the abilities used to communicate and interact with others effectively. For leaders, they act as the conductor of an orchestra, orchestrating the talent of a team to create something greater than the sum of its parts. A good example of somebody who worked with others that found success through that was J.J. Abrams. As a 16-year-old aspiring filmmaker, Abrams was hired by Steven Spielberg to clean and tape his old movies. This led to a long-lasting mentor-mentee relationship being developed, with Spielberg ongoingly supporting to help Abrams become a major blockbuster director who's done lots of amazing things himself. So this can really help us get to these levels by working with other people. It is really difficult to reach high levels completely on your own. You need to know how to do these things. You need to know how to work with other people. So don't be afraid of these mentee relationships. Don't be afraid of helping other people. You are putting investments into your future by working with other people. So don't be afraid to do that, even if it's difficult. So next we're going to jump into a skill, one of our interpersonal effectiveness skills. We're going to sprinkle them in as we keep going. And this skill, I think, is one of the most helpful ones, which is why we're going to do it first, and it's called Dear Man. So I will post a image of this on social media for you guys to access so you can see it, go through it yourself, have it, on hand whenever you might need it. Each letter stands for something different, and we're going to go through it together to really help you guys understand it and show you guys how it can work. So what Dear Man does is it gives us a better chance to get what we want. So that could be in life with relationships, that could be at our jobs, that could be in a difficult situation with a stranger, whatever else. If you go through Dear Man, it's going to increase your chances of getting what you want. It's not going to guarantee it, it's just going to increase the probability, because that's the whole game with other people, is increasing probability of it going well. We can't guarantee it because we don't know what that other person's going to do. And the whole thing is Dear Man. So the D stands for describe. You want to describe the situation, just the facts. Talk about just what's happening. I need this thing, it's $10, and I only have $5. Those would be just the facts. We want to stay very objective on describe. The E is express. That's the next letter. So when we're expressing, we want to express through I statements. I feel like I would really enjoy having a good lunch right now. I feel I would really enjoy having those dishes done when I got home later. Using I statements to kind of explain these things. I statements are helpful because when we start saying you, like you need to do this thing, that tends to lead to walls coming up and people getting defensive right off the bat, even if they don't mean to. So using I statements kind of takes that punch away a little bit and makes it a little softer, makes it land a little bit better. The next step after that is the A, which is assert yourself. You want to be clear of what you want. Don't kind of indirectly hint at it. Clearly state what you're looking for and why you want it. Don't be afraid to assert yourself. Like we talked about earlier, assertiveness is the best type of communication to get into. Don't be aggressive, but don't be passive either and barely bring it up. We got to be assertive and stand that ground and really put it out there. Be clear about it. Then we get to the R. So that's the R of dear. So that's the first part of the skill, which is reinforce. Explain why getting what you want is positive for the other person. So if I explain that getting the dishes done before I get home really helps me feel relaxed, which means I'm in a much better mood and we can have a better night with more time together because there's less of us doing things once we're home together. Maybe that shows them that, hey, if I just get this done, even though I don't want to do this, it will lead to a better night because we can spend more time together hanging out. So you're just kind of showing them the benefits of getting that thing for you. You know, you could do this with getting a raise, of explaining how you getting paid more is going to motivate you more. It's going to help you take on more things, be able to focus more on the work that you are doing, and it's going to lead to more success or something like that. You know, we can use this for kind of anything. Then after that, we got the M, which is be mindful. We got to stay on task. Let's not get caught up talking about other things. Let's not get distracted talking about some other situation or other thing going on in that moment. Let's stay on task of trying to get what we want done in this situation, not getting distracted by something else. The A after that is appear confident. Body language, tone, and word choice all matter. 80% of communication is nonverbal. So be aware of how you're sitting in that situation, how you're holding yourself, what words you're choosing, the tone you're using, the body language you're putting out there. Be aware of these things and try and come across in a confident way because that's going to, again, help you get what you want. And then the most important part of Dear Man, the last letter, the N, is negotiate. We have to be willing to compromise with other people because it's not just about getting exactly what we want. We have to work with that other person so we both get what we want, even if that is meeting in the middle a little bit. So don't be afraid to negotiate with others and try and get things set up. You are going to get things done that way, and negotiation is a big part of just getting things done and making agreements with others. You see this in business all of the time. Very rarely do you just ask for what you want and you get it specifically and directly exactly like that. Typically, we bring something up and we have to kind of work together to find an area that we both agree upon that feels good for both of us. We can build executive presence through communication. Building executive presence through communication involves projecting confidence, clarity, and calmness through deliberate verbal and nonverbal cues such as thoughtful word choice, controlled pacing, strategic pauses, purposeful gestures, and maintaining steady eye contact. To achieve this, it's crucial to organize your thoughts before speaking, understand your audience to tailor your message, and to use active listening. This consistent approach fosters trust and inspires confidence in your leadership and ability to guide others effectively. Handling conflict under pressure, turning confrontation into collaboration. Managing conflict under pressure and turning confrontation into collaboration involves de-escalating heightened emotions, reframing the issues to be a shared problem, and using collaborative communication techniques. The focus shifts from a me versus you dynamic to a us versus the problem, which builds trust and strengthens relationships in the long run. We have seen in research over and over again that we have more in common than we actually have different. We just tend to focus on our differences more than anything else. So while I understand those differences are going to be stark and they're going to be easy to see, if you can get on common ground together, things are going to work much better. The best thing you can do, especially within a company, is find common ground and then to get to work on a common enemy. That usually motivates people and gets them going in really productive and helpful ways. But there is a warning here we got to be careful of, which is tribalism. Because we've seen this work out day in and day out for thousands and thousands of years. There's plenty of examples of this stuff in history. But we have to be careful of going too far with it because we do have tribalism in all of us. It's deeply ingrained. So it is very easy for things to become us versus them. And if the problem is the them, where it's like we have a computer issue that's not working out, not a huge deal. But if the them becomes another group of people or another company or another situation, that could lead to a lot of animosity later on, and that could get to some pretty not so great places. So we got to keep these things reined in as well. We want to get to motivation and get to work on things, get people on the same page, get people on the same boat. but we can't take it so far that we're actually creating a tribalism problem where we're starting to go after other people and feeling like they're terrible and they're wrong, and we're losing the humanity of seeing them for who they are. Negotiations happen all the time in business levels. They happen all the time in very successful ventures into business. So we are going to have to negotiate in a lot of different situations, and negotiating in high stakes situations is very important. We also want to make sure to do so without burning bridges, because those connections, those relationships we are building matter a lot. And just because a situation is being dealt with doesn't mean we want all that to fall apart. When negotiating in high stakes situations, maintaining a collaborative approach can help you secure a favorable outcome without damaging key relationships. By focusing on mutual interests, building trust, and managing emotions, you can transform a tense negotiation into a problem-solving process that benefits everyone involved. Before you begin, preparation is the most critical component of a successful relationship-focused negotiation, so we want to start there. First, you want to understand their interests. Go beyond the surface level demands and find out what is truly motivating the other party. Ask open-ended questions like, what are the biggest challenges you're facing? What factors influence your decision-making process? Know your alternatives. Determine your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. That gives you confidence in a solid position to fall back on if the deal does not go your way. A strong backup plan prevents you from accepting a bad deal out of desperation, and that helps us also understand our own limits and what we're willing to accept, so we don't jump to something that doesn't work out for us that we hit ourselves for later. Decide your end goal. Be clear about what you want to achieve and where you have room to compromise. Having a well-defined plan helps you control the conversation and stay focused. Knowing where you're willing to go before you enter that room is going to help you. And build rapport in advance. If possible, invest time to build a genuine connection before the negotiation starts. A simple, informal conversation over coffee can establish a positive tone and create a foundation of trust. Connection is the way things get done in this world. The more you are able to connect with people, the more likelihood you're going to get what you want or get the things done that you want to get done. So build that rapport, build that with people, and get comfortable doing that. Start now in your life, even if you're not working on negotiations right now. Just work with connecting with people. It's going to help you in so many ways you can't even imagine at this time if you're just getting better at that. During the negotiation, employ these tactics to maintain a constructive and respectful atmosphere even when tensions rise. Separate the people from the problem. Focus on the objective issues, not personal differences. This prevents emotions from escalating and allows you to work together to find a solution. It helps us stay in wise mind. Practice active listening. Listen 70% of the time and talk only 30%. You want to listen more than you talk. Paraphrase what you hear to confirm your understanding. This shows respect, builds trust, and helps you uncover important information. Use calibrated questions. Former FBI hostage negotiator Chris Voss recommends using open-ended questions that start with what or how to shift the focus to collaboration. Examples include, what can we do to solve this together? Or how can we move forward? Master the pause. Silence can be a powerful tool. I use it in sessions all of the time. When the other party speaks, take a deliberate pause before responding. This can prompt them to offer more information, and it makes you appear thoughtful and deliberate, and it gives you a second to actually think about what you're saying or what you're going to respond with instead of reacting. Frame no constructively. Instead of a hard no, pair your refusal with an alternative. For example, we can't do that at this price, but we could adjust the timeline to make it work. This keeps the conversation moving and reinforces your boundaries. You can still say no, but we want to do it with a way to keep working. If you just say no flat and sharp and that's it, it's like running into a wall and it feels like the conversation ends. So be willing to put it out in a way where it's like, let's keep working on this, but I can't do that exact thing. Focus on mutual gain. Think of the negotiation as a puzzle rather than a boxing match. Instead of arguing over a limited resource, work together to enlarge the pie and create a solution that provides value for both parties. When we're thinking of it as a boxing match, we're trying to win. When you think of it as a puzzle, you're trying to solve something. A puzzle is going to be more collaborative focused and more effective for both of you, as once we get to a point of trying to win, we're naturally going to take some losses. We're going to take some punches. Use objective criteria. Rely on factual data and industry standards to justify your position. This moves the discussion away from personal opinions and towards a more rational framework for agreement. It gives you more to lean on. And while you're doing this, as you're working through negotiation, sometimes trust can break down. If you feel trust is eroding, address the issue directly and transparently. First, acknowledge and apologize. If you made a misstep, acknowledge it openly and apologize sincerely. Waiting for the other party to make the first move will only worsen the issue, and sometimes it looks good to others to show that you're willing to take that initiative and to jump forward doing what you need to do. Address manipulative tactics. If the other party is using extreme offers or ultimatums, address their behavior calmly and professionally, reiterate the agreed upon negotiation ground rules, and refocus the discussion on facts. Provide consistent updates. During a difficult or lengthy negotiation, make things predictable by providing regular updates even if there's nothing new to report. This helps manage uncertainty and builds reliability, which is going to strengthen that relationship in the long run too. Ineffective communication costs performance. It leads to decision delays, misalignment, and turnover. And if we get better at this stuff, you and your company and the things that you're working towards are going to work better, even if who you're working with is just a team. Ineffective communication creates costly performance issues for organizations by slowing down processes, misaligning teams, and increasing employee turnover. Research has estimated that poor communication costs U.S. businesses billions of dollars annually due to decreased productivity, missed deadlines, and lost sales. Decision delays also lead to problems. If we're not making decisions, things aren't getting done. And sometimes we don't have all the information. We got to make a decision with what we have and just keep moving. Poor communication directly impacts an organization's speed and agility by slowing down decision making. Vague or incomplete information, when instructions or project goals are unclear, employees must spend extra time and energy seeking clarification, taking away from the work. This constant back and forth leads to project delays and missed deadlines. Withholding information. Some leaders or departments may hoard information, creating communication silos. This hinders problem solving by preventing key players from accessing the data they need to make timely decisions. Technology barriers. The use of digital tools like email or chat can sometimes remove nuance and context. This lack of tone can result in misunderstandings that require further discussions to resolve, further delaying projects. Again, 80% of communication is nonverbal. Doing email or chat, you're missing out on that. Avoidance of tough conversations. When leaders are reluctant to provide direct feedback or address issues head-on, problems can fester and they can get worse. This avoidance delays necessary course correction and breeds resentment among team members as well. There is also a connection between team cohesion and individual peak output. Team cohesion generally enhances and supports individual peak output by creating positive, efficient, and psychologically safe environments. However, the relationship is nuanced and depends heavily on the alignment between the team's norms and its goals. So let's dive a little deeper into how team cohesion drives individual peak performance, which is what we're trying to create with Premier Performance. Psychological safety and trust. A cohesive team builds a strong sense of trust and psychological safety where members feel secure in voicing new ideas, asking questions, and taking personal risks without fear of negative judgments. This freedom to contribute openly is critical for innovation and problem solving, enabling individuals to engage more deeply with their work. Enhance communication and efficiency. Cohesive teams have clear and open lines of communication, which minimizes misunderstandings and streamlines workflows. The shared understanding allows team members to know each other's roles and responsibilities, which reduces wasted effort and helps individuals work more efficiently towards their shared goals. Increased motivation and engagement. When individuals feel connected and valued within a team, their morale and engagement increases. The stronger sense of purpose and belonging leads to greater individual commitment and investment in the collective success. Positive self-esteem and self-efficacy. Belonging to a high-performing, cohesive team can boost an individual's self-esteem and self-efficacy. It can be contagious. Their belief in their own capability to complete tasks increases. This individual confidence is a key driver of peak performance. Constructive conflict resolution. While conflicts can still arise in cohesive teams, a foundation of trust allows for healthier, more constructive resolutions. Conflicts are viewed as opportunities for improvement rather than personal disputes, which keeps the focus on achieving optimal outcomes. Conflicts are going to happen when you're working with other people. I promise. It's just going to happen. It's about how we deal with it, how we're handling these things, and the better we deal with it, the better the team does. Lower stress and higher well being. A supportive, cohesive team environment helps distribute the workload and offers a network of social support. This reduces individual pressure and stress, which protects against burnout and allows employees to maintain higher levels of performance over the long term. The work we do for teams at Premier Performance is this exact kind of work. We do this through workshops, whether it be working with people and putting on, public speaking or running them through tools or strategies right there in the moment with that company, that business, that sports team, whatever it might be, or even full hands-on guidance where I'm working directly with that team to consult, to help guide them, to show them which things to use, when to use it, and to help them use it right there in the moment. So that's what we're doing through Premier Performance, and that's what we're continuing to do, and we're going to continue to grow that. So if that sounds like that could be helpful for the team you're working with, for the business you're a part of, for the company you are employed by, then let us know and reach out, and we'd love to get something set up and see how we can help with your guys' goals of reaching that success. So moving on to another skill that we have, which is called give. Give is really helpful to take care of relationships. We want to use give because it helps build up that relationship and helps the relationship stay healthy. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it can be a helpful place to start. It's a good foundation. So the skill is called give, and each of those letters of give stands for a different piece of the skill. So the first step is the G, which is be gentle. We want to be gentle when we're working with other people. Don't be harsh, don't be aggressive, don't be over the top. It can be too intense, it can be overwhelming. After that, we want to act interested. That's the I. We want to act interested in the things that they're talking about, what they're saying. Maybe you've had this happen before where you're trying to explain something to someone that's important to you and they kind of brush it off, or they just seem like they don't care, and you just don't want to share it anymore, and you just feel that confidence or even that motivation to engage drop. So we want to act interested with the people we're working with as well. Validate the feelings that are going on, what they might be experiencing, what they might be dealing with, what they might be talking about. Validation is super helpful with relationships in general, which is why it's such a core foundation. And then use an easy manner, that E. Use an easy manner and don't take things too hard. Don't be so intense with things as we're going through it, kind of with that be gentle again, but just have an easy manner as you're going through it, and it's going to help that relationship stay in a good spot. And again, I'm going to put up a worksheet for you guys to see so you guys can use that and reference that when you're using give and using it in your own life. Feedback mastery. Giving and receiving feedback in ways that build, not break performance, as feedback is key to growing and learning more. Feedback mastery is the ability to give and receive feedback in ways that are constructive, build trust, and improve performance rather than damaging relationships and morale. It is a critical skill for personal and professional growth, fostering a culture of continuous learning and open communication. Using interpersonal skills to influence without authority. This is great for leaders, managers, and entrepreneurs because sometimes we have to build up that influence or start to use it even if we don't have much of it without that authority. To influence without formal authority, focus on building genuine relationships through active listening, empathy, and collaboration. Demonstrate credibility by proving your expertise, committing to your work, and consistently delivering results. Articulate value by clearly communicating the benefits of your ideas, offering practical solutions, and spreading positivity to inspire others to willingly align with your goals. Build credibility and trust. Show, don't just tell. Consistently meet your own metrics and complete your tasks reliably to prove you are capable and knowledgeable. We have to show people that we can do it. Demonstrate that competence. Humility is key. Make it clear you possess the expertise to lead, but do so without arrogance. We don't want to come out as just cocky. That's not going to go super great either. Be reliable. Help others when you can. Stay late if needed, or assist colleagues out of a bind to show you have the best interests at heart. Working with others help us build up. It can help us do some pretty amazing things. You can do some great things by yourself. You can go fast alone, but you can go far together. So we got to work with other people. And a great example of this is Harold Gromson, whose actual nickname is Bluetooth. The 10th century Viking king, for whom Bluetooth technology was named after, So it is connected to him. The Bluetooth we use every day is connected to this Viking. He used personal connections and his influence to unify the tribes of Denmark and Norway. So again, he used people that he knew, the influence that he had, and he wielded it in a way to create unity in a really powerful way. So don't be afraid of working with others. Don't be afraid of connecting these things. And now you also have a cool fun fact about Bluetooth technology too. So don't be afraid to share that with people. Micro skills for listening, the underrated performance enhancer. Micro skills are the fundamental building block of active listening, a deliberate and conscious process of hearing and understanding a speaker's complete message. Instead of merely absorbing information passively, active listeners engage with both verbal and nonverbal cues to respond thoughtfully and retain information more effectively. This practice often proves to be an underrated performance enhancer in both personal and professional contexts. And remember, again, 80% of communication is nonverbal. Reading nonverbal cues to adjust communication in real time. Because it's nonverbal, we have to work with it. Reading nonverbal cues in real time helps you understand unspoken messages and adapt your communication to be more effective. By observing a person's body language, facial expressions, and vocal tone, you can build rapport, clarify intentions, and navigate conversations more smoothly. This is the issue that happens with text, email, social media, and phone calls. And I know that's where most communication happens nowadays, but think of how many times we run into issues and problems by communicating that way, and how much better it would be if we could just meet with each other and talk face to face and get it dealt with that way. So another skill we're going to jump into is called FAST, and this is a skill that helps us maintain our self-respect. So we've gone through, this will be our third skill now. The first one was to help you get what you want, or at least increase the probability of it. The next one was to help build up relationships or help maintain them. And now this one's to help maintain our own self-respect or our own relationship with ourselves. So this skill is called FAST, and again, every letter stands for something different. So F, the first one, is be fair. Be fair to yourself. Be fair to others. Be fair of what's going on. We have to be honest with ourselves if we're having a hard time or if something tough is going on, that this is just tough and that's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be fair to yourself. We also want to apologize appropriately. And the reason it's apologize appropriately is because of what we talked about earlier. Well, we're over apologize or apologize all the time, or maybe never apologize. So we need to apologize sometimes. That's going to happen. We're going to make mistakes. Things are going to go wrong. But we don't want to apologize for just existing. We don't want to apologize for just being there. We don't want to apologize for having an opinion. Let yourself live your life and be there. And if you make a mistake or you hurt someone's feelings, we can apologize for it. But make sure you're apologizing appropriately and you're not doing it in a way that's not helpful and it's actually tearing down your own confidence. Stick to your values. That's the S. Stick to your values and stay true to those. If you're working opposite to your values, it's going to feel bad. It's going to piss you off. It's going to feel wrong. So figure out what those values are if you don't know what they are, and stick to them and work with them. If you really value honesty, then continue to be honest in your life. Don't start lying to people. We got to stick to those values when we're living our life. And then the last one is be truthful, the T. Be truthful with others, be truthful with yourself. Honesty, while sometimes it hurts, it's honestly the best thing we can do to put it out there. And timing does matter. There's certain times where having some conversations is better than others, but we gotta be honest. Hiding things doesn't help people. We tell ourselves it's helping somebody because we're hiding something from them that might be uncomfortable, but we gotta let people deal with these things because part of life is uncomfortable and bad things happen sometimes. So we gotta deal with that. So that's FAST. Try that out. And again, I will put that up on social media for you guys to check out so you can lean on that and use that as a structure to try it out. So let's talk a little bit about how to de-escalate emotional intensity in performance environments like a locker room or a boardroom. To de-escalate emotional intensity in high-pressure environments like locker rooms and boardrooms, it is crucial to remain calm, communicate with empathy, and manage the situation with a clear process. The key difference between these environments is that locker room conflicts may be more tied to immediate performance and team dynamics, whereas boardroom tensions often involving conflicting agendas and high-stakes financial decisions. There are some universal de-escalation strategies that you can use in any situation. First one being stay calm and self-regulate. Your calm demeanor can help regulate the emotions of others. Maintain a low, steady tone of voice and avoid defensive body language, like crossing your arms. There's many techniques you can use in this. You can use stuff like box breathing or rectangle breathing, where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 6 seconds to slow your nervous system's response down and calm your body down. You can even use grounding techniques like the 5-4-3-2-1 method to bring your focus back to that present moment. We talked about that in past episodes. If you're curious about what that is, just let me know and I'll explain it to you. We can also listen actively and empathize. Often emotional outbursts stem from feeling unheard. We tend to get louder when we feel like people aren't listening. Give the other person space to vent without interruption and show you are listening by rephrasing their points. You can acknowledge their feelings without agreeing with their behavior. For instance, say, I understand that you're frustrated about this situation, but it's not okay to raise your voice. You could also focus on behaviors, not personalities. Personal attacks escalate conflict by making people defensive. Shift the conversation towards specific actions or outcomes to lower the temperature. This is where using I statements might really come in. This helps us describe our perspective without blaming. For example, I felt concerned when the deadline was missed instead of you always miss deadlines. One of those is going to come with a whole lot more defensiveness. After that, we could also introduce a cooling off period. When emotions are too high for productive conversations, suggest a break. This allows all parties to regain composure before reconvening. Sometimes we just need to take a second. We could say something like, I think we all need a moment to collect our thoughts. Let's take a 15-minute break and come back to this. Breaks are good. Sometimes we want to just push through and keep going. Sometimes we need to actually reset. Find common ground. Remind everyone of their shared purpose. Realign again. Whether that is winning a championship or achieving a business objective, aligning one common's goals helps reframe disagreements as collective challenges to be solved together, and now we're starting to work together and start working against each other. And then offer solutions and choices. Empowering a person by giving them choices, even small ones, can reduce their feelings of powerlessness. One thing you can do is ask, what do you think is the best next step? Or would you prefer to discuss this privately or continue the group discussion? Giving people options makes them feel like they aren't trapped. And when people feel trapped, they don't always handle things the best way because that threat system gets activated and we're doing things through reactions instead of responding. So let's talk a little bit more about context-specific strategies like in a locker room. In sports, de-escalation must address raw emotions fueled by intense competition. For coaches specifically, model the behavior. Don't react with the same emotional intensity as your athletes. Speak calmly and set an example of control. Reinforce team values. After a tense moment, reinforce your team's code of conduct and remind players of their shared goals. Let's realign back to the focus. Separate and mediate. If a conflict is between teammates, pull them aside individually before mediating a group discussion. In the heat of the moment, a physical separation may be necessary for safety. So sometimes we actually do need to separate people. For teammates, focus on the game. Redirect the conversation back to game strategy and collective goals. Avoid personalizing the conflict. Encourage one-on-one resolution. If you witness a smaller conflict, encourage the individuals involved to talk privately after emotions have settled. Letting people work through things on their own individually works better in the long run. So we want to try and lean on that. In the boardroom, it's a little different. In a corporate setting, de-escalation involves maintaining professionalism while focusing on business objectives. For the chair or the CEO, acknowledge and redirect. Start by acknowledging the tension in the room to show awareness, then redirect the conversation to the agenda and shared strategic goals. Enforce rules of order. If the debate becomes too heated, step in to remind members of the agreed upon rules for respectful dialogue. Use an external mediator. For deeply entrenched conflicts or personal animosity, bring in an impartial third party to help facilitate a resolution. For board members, prepare proactively. If you know a sensitive topic is on the agenda, anticipate potential conflicts, practice your talking points, and prepare for counter arguments. Leave egos at the door. As hard as it is, it's one of the best things we can do. Recognize that disagreements are a part of a healthy debate and focus on the company's best interests, not personal pride. Ask clarifying questions. When a colleague makes a heated point, ask questions to understand their perspective rather than immediately pushing back. Let's understand, let's explore, let's be curious. We can also leverage self-regulation before conversations. We don't want to go in too hot. Leveraging self-regulation before a conversation means taking intentional steps to calm yourself and center your thoughts so you can respond constructively rather than reacting impulsively. This approach can lead to more productive dialogue and better outcomes, especially in high-stakes or emotionally charged situations. Be aware of where you are, where your bar is at, how full your cup is. That goes back to that first episode with the threat system. You only have a certain amount of capacity to handle things. Be aware of where you are at in that capacity. If you are already full, you're going to have to handle things very differently than if you're ready to go and that bar is totally emptied. Using storytelling and metaphor for persuasion and buy-in. To gain buy-in, storytelling and metaphor engages your audience emotionally, simplifies complex information, and makes your message memorable and relatable. Stories are not simply entertainment, they provide a strategic narrative that connects your audience to your mission and values, convincing them to take action. It's part of who we are as humans. We're storytellers. That's what we do. That's what you've seen in all the entertainment that's around us all the time. It's stories. That's all marketing. It's stories. This is what we did before the printing press, before we were able to really write things at volumes and being able to put out lots of different things. So with that, don't be afraid to tap into storytelling. It really connects with who we are as people, and we love hearing stories. We all love a good story. It just depends what the content is that we really want to pay attention to. If you think mentoring or coaching are new concepts, you'd be wrong. Evidence of mentoring dates back to ancient Greece and beyond. Even Plato had a mentor, and it is understood that Socrates was a mentor to Plato, and a huge influence on Plato's revolutionary work in Greek philosophy. Later, this wisdom was passed along even further when Plato mentored Aristotle for many years in Athens. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle are the pillars of Greek philosophy and have informed the very foundations of Western philosophy that we know today. The world as we know it would not exist were it not for the all-important mentor-mentee relationship, which goes back to what we talked about in the past of helping others really helps us. So don't be afraid to work with others, whether it's finding a mentor for yourself or if that is you mentoring someone else. It can lead to some pretty amazing things, and it can help you understand things a little bit better on your own. This is also a big part of who we are as people, and the reason I'm talking about it right now is going back to that storytelling. This is another piece that has been with us throughout human history. We have worked with each other and helped each other in so many different ways. So don't turn your back on it. Don't be afraid of it. Lean towards it and help others out and see how others can help you. We work best through collaboration. And things can go wrong when we're working with people. That's a big part of relationships in general too. And this is also where a lot of issues come in, because when things go wrong, a lot of times people just want to run from it or hide from it or just say they're done with it. But sometimes the best thing to do is to bounce back and repair things. So we can repair ruptures. To quickly bounce back from a relational rupture, both partners need to take responsibility, communicate with empathy, and rebuild trust through consistent positive actions. Whenever a rupture happens, it's never 100% on anybody involved. There are different parts on different people. It might be 90-10, it might be 80-20, but everyone is playing a role in some way. Repairing mistakes in a relationship is not about avoiding conflict, but about how you manage and recover from it. First, we want to own our part and apologize sincerely. A successful repair begins with taking responsibility for your actions, regardless of your intentions. This creates a foundation of humility and care. Be specific. Clearly state the actions or words you regret. For instance, instead of saying, "I'm sorry I got mad," say, "I'm sorry I raised my voice." Avoid justifications. Don't use "but" or "because" in your apology, as this can minimize the hurt and shift the blame. Acknowledge the impact. Show your partner that you understand how your actions make them feel. Say, "I understand why my reaction was upsetting." Take a strategic pause. When emotions are running high, it is easy to say things you don't mean. Taking a break to calm down can prevent further damage and allow for more productive conversation later. Agree on a timeout. Set a specific time to return to the conversation, such as, "I need 10 minutes to calm down. I'll be back at 7 p.m. to finish this." This ensures your partner doesn't feel abandoned. They don't feel totally uncertain of what's going to happen next. Uncertainty tends to create a lot of stress. Use the time wisely. Use the time to regulate your nervous system through deep breathing, walking, or journaling, rather than just planning your next rebuttal or just scrolling on your phone. Do something to regulate yourself. And then return to the discussion. Always follow through and return to the conversation at the agreed upon time to show that you're committed to the repair. And we might have to take more breaks later, but let's get back to it and try again. Listen with curiosity and validate feelings. Instead of defending yourself, try to understand your partner's perspective by listening openly. Validation is about acknowledging their feelings, not necessarily agreeing with their viewpoint. Ask curious questions, such as, "Can you tell me more about what felt painful for you?" Or, "What did you need from me in that moment?" Reflect and summarize. Show that you are listening by repeating what you hear in your own words. For example, it sounds like you felt frustrated because of what I did. Is that right? Stay focused. Avoid getting stuck on small details of what was said. Focus on the emotional impact and the feelings involved. Offer small, consistent repair actions. Repair is often a process that requires more than just an apology. Consistent actions prove your commitment to rebuilding trust can be even more powerful than words. Do something meaningful. This can be a thoughtful text, a hug, or even a shared meal. Demonstrate a new pattern. In a future similar situation, act differently than you did during the rupture. For example, if you raised your voice before, speak with a calm and gentle tone this time. You want to show them that you're going to handle it differently. Reaffirm your connection. Find small ways to reconnect, such as watching a favorite show together or going for a walk. After we're going through these things, after we're going through a rupture, we got to get back to doing things together. It's not just talking through what went wrong, it's also about reconnecting. Recommit and learn from the experience. After the repair, work together to build new patterns and prevent similar issues from arising. Each repair can be an opportunity for growth that strengthens the relationship over time. Work as a team. Frame the issue as us against the problem, rather than me against you. Create a forward-looking plan. Discuss what you both can do differently in the future to better manage conflict. This makes the relationship feel more predictable and secure. And for larger or repetitive ruptures, consider seeking professional help, like couples therapy or, a business mediation, or even working with us to help work through a problem with your business management. You can deal with things through professional help as well, and sometimes things are a little too big for us to deal with on our own. So don't be afraid of getting that help and that support if it's needed. Time-efficient relationship building for high achievers can kind of be like small deposits into a trust bank. The reason we need to be time efficient, especially for high achievers, is typically high achievers have a lot of things going on. They're very busy. High achievers tend to fill their plates with a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different things to do. For high achievers, building relationships effectively and efficiently hinges on making small, consistent deposits into people's trust banks, a concept popularized by author Stephen Covey. Since time is limited, these deposits must be intentional and focused, relying on consistency and emotional intelligence rather than frequent, long interaction. Time and shared experience are both investments that we make, so make sure that you're choosing to make these investments of your time and shared experiences with the people in your life you want to continue to build with or you want to keep in your life. If you don't invest in things, things fall off. So keep in mind what you're investing towards, what relationships you're investing in. If you're not investing in those relationships, they very may well disappear. So just be aware of that and mindful that you might be okay with that disappearing, and don't be caught off guard if you aren't putting that investment in, because it will disappear if you don't put effort towards it. Social fears, such as networking or public speaking, as barriers to opportunity. These are great places to apply interpersonal effectiveness skills. So with networking, anxiety during networking can stem from worries about making a bad impression, not knowing what to say, or just fearing judgment. And there's a lot of DBT skills that can help manage those fears, whether that be things that we talked about earlier today with maintaining self-respect through fast or give, or building up on relationships, or trying to get better things, or more higher, or trying to increase your probability of getting what you want through Dear Man, or even using distress tolerance skills to deal with difficult situations. Public speaking, on the other hand, can also create some problems. Performance anxiety can trigger intense physical symptoms like a rapid heartbeat, shaking, or nausea. In these moments, distress tolerance and mindfulness skills are very critical, and they're going to help a lot. So there are a lot of things you can use through these techniques, through these approaches that we're talking about, that can help with kind of any problem that might show up. And again, this is the help of what we're trying to do through Premier Performance, is help tailor these things to you specifically. So if you do want to, you could reach out and let me know what's going on, and I could tell you exactly what skill to use and how to use it and when to use it to help best in your situation. But we have to know what's going on in order to tailor these things around you, which is why I like staying connected to you guys. So let me know what's going on. This also leads to practicing exposure. Gradually increasing your exposure to anxiety-provoking situations can help you deal with it. Start with lower stakes activities like making small talk with a coworker or attempting to network at a smaller event before you get to a larger event. Get prepared. For presentations, create drafts and outlines in advance. For networking, research who will be there and have some potential talking points ready to go. That's going to give you a little more confidence, feel like you have more to lean on. Reframe your thoughts. Challenging challenge any negative self-talk that might pop up. Instead of seeing nervousness as a weakness, reframe it as a sign that you care about your work. Work with us and conquer these struggles. If you have something going on you're not sure what to do with or how to manage it, let us know and let us help. We want to help. We would love to. So let us know what's going on and we will figure out a plan and a strategy that works best for you with what you got going on. Let's talk a little bit before we get out of here about why interpersonal effectiveness is a performance multiplier for athletes, entrepreneurs, and executives. Interpersonal effectiveness acts as a performance multiplier by enhancing crucial skills like communication, empathy, and conflict resolution. These are all essential for motivating people and coordinating efforts towards a common goal. For athletes, entrepreneurs, and executives, this translates into superior teamwork, stronger relationships, and the ability to inspire others to peak performance, which is going to rise up everybody. A rising tide lifts all boats. So don't be afraid to build each other up and use these things together. It's going to lead to more success for everybody. So a couple questions for you to consider, and I want you guys to think about it, reflect on it, even send me those answers, but at least write them down for yourself. First question, what are your biggest struggles within relationships? Be mindful of anything that you've dealt with, whether it be personal or professionally, in business, in a certain situation, in a certain circumstance. What biggest struggles have you noticed within relationships? Write that down for yourself. Send that on over to us. What do you wish you could go back and change in the past with a relationship? So reflect and review back on past relationships. What would you have done differently? This could be a business relationship that went bad. This could be a relationship that led to a breakup. Think back and think of what you would have done differently. Reviewing and reflecting on things after they happen help us learn. It helps us grow. So that's the second question. Moving to the third question. How is relationship ineffectiveness holding you back in your career? So I want you to mindfully reflect right here in the moment of how not doing these things we've talked about this whole episode is actually holding you back. And some of this stuff you might already be doing. But I think, especially if we made it this far in the episode, there's a good chance that there's something here that we may want to increase or work on better. And we want to make it more effective in what you're doing. So let's think about what is being ineffective, what isn't working right now. Because that's going to help us get back to work and to do the thing. And if you can wrap up all three of those questions, get answers to all of them, send them out to me, I will give you a pretty great plan of how to put these things into action right now today. So send that out to us, and you can reach out to us on social media. You can reach out to me directly. I'll give you all that information in just a second. But I want you to write that down, have that for yourself, and also send it to us so we can help you get to work and get started with what you need to do. Resilient minds, premier results. That's what we're building here through the premier mindset, and that's why we're doing it, to build up a mindset that helps us reach this premier performance with what we're doing. Premier performance isn't an easy place to reach. That's why so many people struggle to get here, and that's why we're going to help you guys get there. Recognition is the first step. If you don't understand the struggles you're dealing with or you don't understand what's going wrong, it's really hard to figure these things out. So let's pay attention to what's happening. Let's be aware of what's going on, and let's recognize these things as they're happening. Share this episode. If you find anyone in your life that could benefit from hearing about anything we talked about today, send this episode their way and see if it helps them out. You never know what this might turn into. Sometimes it's the first domino that leads to a huge, giant change in their life. So if there's anyone that comes to mind, even if it's just briefly, send it their way and let's see what they do with it. Maybe it helps them out. If it helped you out specifically, that's awesome. That's great. We'd love to hear that. That's what our goal is with this. And it would be awesome if you could leave us a review. Those reviews really help us out. They help us build up, what we're doing, and also helps us learn more about what's working, what's not. And it just expands our reach to get this in front of more people, which is our ultimate goal. So leaving us reviews is super helpful wherever you can do that. I make it a point to give you actionable tools to find success in your life. So let me know if it's helping. I'd love to stay connected with you all. I want to know how things are going, how things are working in your life, if it's being successful, if it's not. I want to hear it all. So connect with us. Let us know what's going on so we can help, so we can at least be there with you and share some of the celebrations and the successes with you. You can reach out in a lot of different ways. You can email me at tmailer@premierperformancereno.com. My last name spelled Mahler. You can text or call me directly at 775-561-0056. You can reach out to us and connect with us through our TikTok and Instagram pages, which is premier_performance_Reno for both of those. We're going to keep on building up those communities, and we'll put out some community related events on there too. So they'll make sure you get involved so you can see those as they come out. We have our Facebook and LinkedIn page with the same name as well for both of those, which is Premier Performance LLC. So make sure to jump in on that too. And then we have our Twitter or X profile, which is at Premier Reno LLC. So again, follow along with that. And to follow all that up, we also have our website, www.premierperformancereno.com, where we post a lot of different things, whether it be the podcast, research, access to things, and just things that we offer. So make sure to check that out. You can reach out to us through that as well. And we're going to keep on working, keep on doing these things. Next week, we're going to jump into the topic of perfectionism versus excellence. Perfectionism can pull us down. Excellence is what we're reaching for, what we're striving for. So we want to figure out how to get there, how to deal with those things, and how to deal with the conflicting dynamic that those two have with each other. So we'll dive deeper into that next week. So go enjoy yourself, do the best you can, reach for those premier performance with whatever you're doing. Just put yourself in these levels and take that leap of faith and trust in yourself that you can handle that success at that high level. It's going to be scary at times, but you can do it. If there's anything you need, make sure to reach out to us. We just want to be a resource for you guys to help out however we can. Otherwise, I want you guys to enjoy yourself. Have a great week, and I will see you soon as we get back into it next week, and we keep going with new episodes coming out every Sunday. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.